Hey everyone, this is the Millionaire Hippies podcast with your host, Shikha, where we chat about spirituality, business, and health. We all want to live self-actualizing, fulfilling lives with joy, prosperity, and gratitude. Let's go on this beautiful journey together.
Hey everyone, welcome to the 100th episode of the Millionaire Hippie podcast. I actually cannot even believe I'm saying these words out loud. So I want to take a moment just to congratulate myself for the fact that I actually stuck with these podcast episodes for a whole year, something that I believe that there's very few things I can say that I've stuck with for a long, long time, and this is definitely one of them. I would have to say other two things were yoga and meditation and my business or writing. So there are a few things, but not that many. So I'm so grateful to myself, very grateful to this world that I am living in this world right now, that I can actually create a podcast without any foreknowledge of how to do it or without a following and put it out there and have listeners. And that is the amazing, fantastic thing about the fact that we're living on this planet right now. I just can't imagine living on any other planet or any other time. It's just such a great time to be alive. And so I guess what I wanted to do with this 100th episode is perhaps do kind of a quick overview of how it is to run a podcast for a year and the trials and tribulations of it. I'm sure this is going to be something that a lot of you are going to be interested in, because I know you want to know, why does it matter? Why am I running this podcast? What is the point of it? Why I've been doing it for so long? Why am I going to keep on going? And how was it to run it for a whole year? And how I think it's going to be for the next, 2, 3, 4, 500 years, however long I'm alive for. And so I started the podcast off on a whim because I realized that I love to talk. And if anyone knows me at all, and I'm sure a bunch of you do know me that listen to this, I love to chat. I love to talk about my viewpoints. I love to talk about the different ideas that are going on in my head. I love to converse about that, obviously, on a one-on-one basis or on a group basis, talking with my friends. But then I realized if I have this capacity to talk, I have a laptop, I have these headphone sets, I have the capacity to make a podcast then. I mean, that's all you really need. Obviously, the sound quality will not be perfect, and perhaps there are some times where some words pop and you might not like that, but I have a podcast out and you're listening to it. So that is the essence of it, right? And so I decided, all right, I have the capacity to do it. I love talking. I want to talk about all of these different things that I love to talk about. I'd love to do it on a larger scale, so not just with my friends, but on a bigger scale. So how about I create a podcast? So I did that. I believe I did my first podcast in April or May of last year, which is 2016. And in the beginning, it was just me interviewing people because I did a couple of episodes on my own. I was so afraid because it was really interesting for me to notice the opening of my throat chakra. For the first time, I had a forum where I could speak without being interrupted. I could speak without being told that I'm not right. I could just speak on and on and on forever, and no one would interrupt me. No one would tell me I'm wrong. No one would tell me what I'm saying is false. And I could put it out there and people would actually listen to me. I mean, I don't know how many people actually listen to the full podcast, obviously. Sometimes probably they drop off. But that's not the point of it, and I don't really care. I've put it out there, and it's out in the universe, and I've done that. And I felt such a sense of power coming through that act, the fact that I put it out there, and people are listening to it, and I can say whatever I want because this is my podcast, and I have no advertisers, and I have no one else controlling it. I'm the only one in control. That means I can say whatever I want. I can talk about whatever I want, even if people don't like it. It doesn't matter because this is my podcast, right? So empowering, right? All of a sudden I realized I have this forum to speak on. And so I started creating more and more and more podcasts. I started putting them out there. In the beginning, there weren't that many people downloading. Basically, it was my mom listening and a few friends, which was fine with me. And then it grew and grew and grew. And I mean, I get about 1,000, 2,000 downloads a month nowadays, which is awesome. I don't know who these people are. And if you guys want to say hi to me ever, I am more than happy to hear from you. Shikha at themillionairehippie.com. You can message me, email me there. I would love to hear from you guys. But anyway, so people started listening, and it was awesome. It was really great, really gratifying that people were listening. But that was, again, not the point of it, because I think I would still do these podcasts because not only does it help me coagulate my own thoughts, so it helps me figure out what am I actually thinking on this subject? What's going on in my head right now? Because putting it out there in a 10-minute or 10, 15-minute podcast really helps me congeal my thoughts. And so I know what I'm thinking myself, and also it helps putting it out there and telling the universe, I trust myself. I trust my voice. I trust who I am. I trust my authenticity. I trust what I'm saying. I trust my way of thinking. I trust everything. And so I'm putting it out there, and I'm not going to feel any fear. I'm not going to feel any doubt or anxiety about it. And that's how it helps me. So it might help you, perhaps you get a few ideas from it, but it helps me more than it could ever help you. And that's the reason I keep on doing them. Because the more conscious I'm becoming, the more aware I'm becoming, the more spiritual I'm becoming, the more people I'm meeting, the more creative work I'm doing, the more I'm realizing that the more I need this podcast to congeal my thoughts, to coagulate them, to set them up right. The more I think, the more I write, the more I realize that more thoughts are coming into my head, and I need to have this podcast to put it out there into the universe. And so I'm going to keep on doing these until probably the day I die. And so again, so now I'm at the 100th episode, but then the first few episodes I was doing them, and I was thinking to myself, this is a lot of work. It is actually a lot of work. I do it so that it's not so much work, but it's still a lot of work, and it's also really draining because you don't realize how much just recording an episode takes out of you. It actually is so draining that I record a couple of episodes and then I have to take a break and take an entire afternoon off because it really, really takes a lot out of me. Out of anyone who's doing these kind of recordings. I can't imagine those people who are recording for 10, 12, 13 hours straight. It's just insane. So obviously they have a lot more power, a lot of energy to give more so than me. So I did these, and I realized that obviously it was taking a lot of energy out of me, and I decided a couple of times that, I'm going to stop doing these. It's just too much work. I'm just going to stop doing this. I just have to stop. But I missed it so much. If I stopped for a couple of days or a couple of weeks and I didn't put anything up, I felt like I was just missing something. I'm an essential part of myself. I was missing this forum. I was missing these podcast episodes. I was missing doing them. I was missing talking about them. I was missing talking to you guys. I was missing talking to myself. I was missing talking to my inner child. All of it. I just missed so much of it. So I decided, okay, fine, I'm going to keep on doing them. And once I hit the 40 episode, so the number 40 episode, I realized that this is going to be part of my life for a long, long time because I just can't stop doing them. Every single time I have stopped, I felt really bad. I felt like something was missing. I felt like a limb was missing or a sight. I felt like a major, crucial part of myself was missing. So after the 40th episode, I realized I'm going to do these forever. And actually, after that, I read a stat somewhere that said that very few podcasts actually get over the hump, which is the 40th episode. And so most podcasts, owners or speakers, they'll start off all gung-ho, which is how we start off all projects. And doing this podcast for so long has actually taught me a lot about consistency and sticking with something for a long period of time. I've realized that everyone will go through these ups and downs. It's just a normal part of doing any creative project. You're going to love it in the beginning, and then you're going to go through a phase where you hate it because it's taking so much time, and then you love it again because you get a spark, or you realize how much you missed it or whatever, and then you hate it again. So you kind of go through ups and downs, and I'm sure in the future as well, I'll have moments where I think to myself, why am I doing this to myself? And then I'll have moments where I'll think, I'm so lucky that I get to do this. I'm so, so lucky. And so I'll go back and forth, and I realize that fact now. And so I know now when I go through these slumps where I don't want to do the podcast anymore, I'll just give myself a little break. I gave myself a week or 2 weeks break, and I realized, all right, I miss it. I want to do it again. I'm going to go back to it, right? And so that 40th episode is the hump, and most people, like I said, will not get over that hump. Actually, most people will not get over the first episode. Most people will get so gung-ho about it, and they record the first episode, and they put so much effort and energy into it, and then nothing. And they don't record anything else after ever again. There's so many podcasts that have been started, have never seen the light of day after the first episode or the 5th episode or the 10th episode. And most of the podcasts die off by the 39th, 40th episode. That's how it happens. And so once I got over that hump, I realized, all right, it's cool. So I'm over the hump. I'm over that period where I could have quit and I could have given up, but now I can't. I don't want to. This is going to be a part of my life forever and ever and ever. Again, like I said, it taught me about consistency. It taught me about sticking with something for a long period of time. And it taught me that the more you do something, I guess it's like, wearing a glove for a long period of time. That glove kind of melds to your skin, to your hand. It becomes part of your hand. It's not a part of, it's not separate from you anymore. It's part of you. And so it's so comfortable. And I feel like It's the same thing with doing something for a long period of time. You kind of get comfortable with it and kind of realize that it is become essentially a part of me. And if I took it out and threw it away, then I would be killing a part of myself. I'm sure I'm being a little bit over dramatic right now. I really truly do believe that though, because I think that this is going to be, like I said, I'm going to do this for a long time, but also I think I need to do this for a long time. I need to do this in order to be sane. Other things that I do in order to stay sane, I've talked about this before, is journaling, so morning pages, meditation for sure, yoga, oh my god, without it I would die, and writing, obviously. These are the 4 or 5 things that I have to do. Without them, I am incomplete. And I think those are all the things that I wanted to speak to you guys about. I can't, again, believe that you guys are still listening. I hope that you get something out of this. And if you are interested in starting your own podcast and you're nervous about it or you're worried about it, you can email me anytime and ask me any questions you guys have. Really, seriously, I might not be a major expert in all of the technicalities. I have put it all together myself. I didn't ask anyone for help. I only went online. I checked out a few podcast episodes on it. I read a few blog posts on it, and I checked a few YouTube videos out, and then I built my podcast that way. I didn't do anything fancy. And so if you guys have any questions, email me at boomshikha@themillionairehippie.com, and I look forward to answering any questions you have. Again, it is the easiest thing to do. So if you're ever thinking about starting your own podcast, do it. Because we need more people like you. We need more people who are interested in bringing their ideas forth, who are interested in sharing their ideas. Because the way I think about something is definitely not going to be the way you think about things. And I want to know, how do you think about things? I want to know what's going on in your head. I want to know what are the different viewpoints that you have. What are the different things that are really sacred to you? What are the different things that you spend your time at night thinking about? What do you wake up in the middle of the night thinking about? All of that stuff. I care about that stuff. I want to know. Because I am a curious person, and the same reason you are a curious person, you're listening to me, right? So if you want to complete the circle, I want to listen to you, you want to listen to me, everyone's listening to everyone else, we're all creating, we're all putting our stuff out there, and that's what makes this world so powerful, because we have the capacity to do this right now. I have the capacity to do it, you have the capacity to do it. I did not have a major following when I started, so if I can do it, I can assure you that you can do it as well. I hope that you liked this episode. I hope that I shared with you what was paramount to me, why I did it, why I'm going to keep on doing it. And if you guys, again, have any questions, email me. If not, I'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening. Go check out my website at themillionairehippie.com if you want more free, awesome content. If you really like the podcast, please consider giving me a 5-star review on iTunes. Until next time, namaste.